My fellow Americans, we stand at a crossroads. We do not face an invading army at our shores, but we confront a threat from within, a test of whether the institutions and ideals that define our nation can withstand the ambitions of one man. In this defining hour, we must recognize what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once called the fierce urgency of now. President Trump's actions have shaken the foundations of our democracy. He demands our response not with silence or fear, but clarity, conviction, and courage. For more than 2 centuries, the United States has stood as a beacon of democracy, a shining example that government of the people, by the people, and for the people endures. Our Constitution established checks and balances, a free press, and the rule of law to guard against tyranny. Yet today, this administration has put those safeguards under siege. The leader sworn to uphold justice and freedom now chips away at those pillars. This is a moment of truth for America. Will we allow our democracy to collapse from within, or will we rise to defend it? We do not witness an attack from foreign forces. We witness a direct assault from the highest office in the land. President Trump relentlessly undermines the system of checks and balances that protects our republic. He shows disdain for the independence of our courts and the authority of Congress, treating the other branches of government not as co-equal partners, but as obstacles he must circumvent. When judges rule against his policies, he dismisses and insults them. When Congress exercises its constitutional authority to oversee the executive branch, it stonewalls investigations and defies lawful subpoenas. At every turn, this administration pushes the boundaries of executive power, testing how far it can bend the rules without breaking them outright. Perhaps most alarming, the president sows distrust in the very machinery of our democracy, our elections. Rather than respecting the people's voice, he insists that any outcome not in his favor must result from fraud. Even before voters cast their ballots, he spread suspicion about the election process, claiming widespread corruption without evidence. And when election officials counted the votes and the people's will did not align with his own, he refused to accept it. By doing so, he struck at the core of our democratic system, the peaceful transfer of power. We saw the terrible fruit of this rhetoric when a mob, fed on lies and fear, stormed the Capitol itself. This was not only an attack on a building, but an attack on the idea of America. It revealed the depth of the doubt he planted in the minds of citizens who once believed in democracy. Beyond the halls of government, President Trump has attacked the lifeblood of democracy, free speech, and truth. He repeatedly lashes out at the free press, journalists who fulfill their sacred duty to inform the public, branding them the enemy of the people. He echoes the language of autocrats who fear scrutiny and accountability. A free press is not the enemy, but the guardian of truth. When a leader silences reporters or bullies news organizations, he attacks our right to know, our right to speak, and our right to be heard. His hostility does not stop with the press. He ridicules, reassigns, or removes officials who dare to tell the truth. He threatens and intimidates peaceful protesters exercising their constitutional rights. His message is clear. In this administration, loyalty to one man outweighs loyalty to the principles of the Constitution. Even more troubling, President Trump dismantles the safeguards against corruption. He punishes whistleblowers, brave individuals who speak up when they witness wrongdoing. When a patriot steps forward to report an abuse of power, this president doesn't praise their integrity. He attacks their character and demands retribution. He fires inspectors general, the independent watchdogs tasked with rooting out waste and fraud, when their investigations come too close to the Oval Office. These individuals are not nameless bureaucrats, but sentinels of accountability, defending the people's interests against corruption and abuse. By purging oversight, intimidating witnesses, and silencing truth-tellers, Trump dismantles the very mechanisms that prevent corruption in the first place. He rips apart the guardrails of democracy one by one before our eyes. Fellow citizens, we cannot afford complacency. The cost of silence and inaction is nothing less than the slow, steady death of our democracy. When we dismiss an abuse of power as just politics, we normalize the erosion of our principles. History does not record great republics falling in a single dramatic moment. Instead, they crumble slowly, piece by piece, because too many good people look the other way. If we remain silent now, if we tell ourselves that someone else will stand up, we risk waking up in a country we no longer recognize. Imagine a future where criticizing the government costs you your career. Imagine a future where speaking truth to power invites punishment and fear. Imagine elections people refuse to believe in, not because they are fraudulent, but because leaders have conditioned them to doubt democracy. That future is not some distant dystopia. It is the logical result of what unfolds right now if we fail to act. When leaders bully whistleblowers into silence, corruption festers in the dark. When citizens lose faith in fair elections, fewer will vote, and our government will no longer reflect the people's will. When we tune out, drop out, or throw up our hands, we hand power to those who seek to rule unchecked. We must recognize the gravity of this moment. This fight is not just about policy or party, it is about the fundamental character of our nation. Generations of Americans have marched, protested, and even died to expand the blessings of democracy. From Selma to Normandy, from Seneca Falls to Stonewall, will we now sit idle as those hard-won liberties disappear? If we fail to speak or act, we will betray the legacy that built this country. This is our wake-up call. The hour is late, but we still have time. If we act now, we, the citizens, are the ultimate guardians of our democracy. John F. Kennedy reminded us that the highest office in a democracy belongs not to the president, but to the citizen. America's role as a global leader does not rely solely on our military might or economic power. It depends on our moral leadership, our example as a free and just society. The world watches to see if America will remain faithful to its ideals. If we falter now, if we allow democracy to wither, then what hope remains for those fighting for freedom worldwide? But if we rise to the occasion and renew our commitment to government of, by and for the people, we will keep the beacon of hope shining. Each of us plays a part. You do not need to hold public office to make a difference. Speak out when you see wrong. Support the free press. Protect whistleblowers and truth-tellers. Let them know that Americans value courage and honesty over unquestioning loyalty. Most importantly, exercise your sacred right to vote. If those in power refuse to uphold their oaths, then we must use our power, the power of the ballot, the power of peaceful assembly, to replace them with leaders who will. My fellow Americans, this is no ordinary time. We cannot meet this threat with timid souls or timid actions. We need the bravery of our forebears, the resolve of those who crossed oceans and settled frontiers, fought in world wars and marched for justice to guide us now. They endured hardship and sacrifice so that we could live free. Now we must defend that freedom. Let it not be said that we stood by and did nothing when democracy needed us most. Let it not be said that we were found wanting when the hour of testing came. I call on all who love this country and believe in justice and liberty to wake up. Stand up and be counted. Raise your voices in your communities, in your workplaces, and to your representatives. Demand honesty, demand accountability, demand leadership that unites us instead of dividing us. This is our America, this is our responsibility. And this is our moment to ensure that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. The time to defend our democracy is now. Let us answer the call.